السلام عليكم. مصطلح كاتفيش مصطلح بيستخدم باللغة الإنجليزية في العالم الافتراضي وبالذات في الأونلاين ديتنج أبليكيشنز. فبيجي بيحكي لك بالإنجليزي I have been catfished. شو معنى مصطلح كاتفيش؟ بتفوت على الاونلاين ديتنج ابليكيشنز، بتلاقي فيه شخص مستخدم صورة شاب وسيم ومعلومات عن هذا الشاب، وبقعد بيحكي مع هاي البنت بتعجب بهاي الصورة بهذا الشخص، ويبلشوا يحكوا مع بعض. بعدين بس يلاقوا في اتفاق بيناتهم بالاشياء اللي بيحكوها عن بعض، بيروحوا بيتفقوا انه بدهم يطلعوا مع بعض موعد ديت برا في مطعم او في مقهى. لما تروح البنت على المطعم تتفاجأ انه الشخص صورته مختلفة اختلاف تام، فبترجع بتحكي انه I have been catfished. قد تكون المعلومات اللي هو أعطاها إياها الشاب هي معلومات فعلا بتخصه، ولكن الصورة مختلفة تماما في الواقع لما تشوف هذا الشخص. فتخيل مثلا لما أنا أروح أحط صورتي وأنا عمري 22 وبس تروح تلتقيني بالطبيعة تلاقيني واحد شخص عمره 40، أو تلاقيني شخص مختلف تماما وشكلي مختلف تماما عن الصورة. فهذا طبعا ما في عدل، وهذا الحكي ما بيصير معك بس بالاونلاين ديتنج ابليكيشنز، بيصير معك باشياء ثانيه. فمثلا بتلاقي واحد بيجي بيضيفك على الفيسبوك، بتلاقي اسمه الصقر الجريح، ولا بتلاقي لك واحده مسميه حالها زهره البنفسج ولا زهر العنبر واشياء عجيبه زي هيك. طب كيف متوقع انه انا بدي اتعامل معك وانت شخص هويتك اصلا غير حقيقيه وغير موجوده؟ او مثلا بتلاقي البنت بتكون حاطه صوره سيلبرتي معروفه مثلا نانسي عجرم، وانا غشيم بعرفش مين هي نانسي عجرم، فبروح بصير احكي معها وبتعامل معها حتى على الفيسبوك، وبالاخر بكتشف انه هاي مش صورتها. بصير تروح تحكي لك طبعا انه ما تحكم علي من الشكل الخارجي، احكم علي من المحتوى. نعم انا بحكي لكم انه احنا لازم not to judge the book by the cover، لكن لازم تعطي المعلومات كامله للشخص اللي قدامك وخلي الشخص هو يقرر. مش عدل انك انت تحشره في الزاويه وتخليه انه هو بده يضطر ينفرض عليه انه هو يكون قاعد معك او يحكي معك. بعدين بالاخر لما تسالها بتقول لها مثلا ليه انت عم تستخدمي صوره مختلفه او اسم مختلف؟ في بعض البنات بقول لك انه مثلا اهلي ما بيعرفوا، ما بدي اهلي يعرفوا. طب اذا انت عم تعمل هيك من وراء اهلك، مش عدل برضه كمان انك تخليني انا وياك ننوقد مع بعض، مثلا يجي اخوك يروح يطخني انا وياك بنفس الوقت. فانا نصيحتي دائما كونوا اعطوا المعلومات كامله حقيقيه، او اذا انتم شايفين انه هذا الموضوع مش مناسب لكم ولا اهلكم ما تستخدموه وما تحطوا الطرف الاخر معاكم في مشكله. وطبعا هذا جزء بسيط من الاشياء اللي بتصير على الاونلاين ديتنج ابليكيشنز. خلينا نسمع من الناس كمان شو صارت معهم مواقف.
Interesting dates. There was a lot of them. One thing I find very interesting in North American mentality is when they go on a date, because I guess here they kiss on the first date or they do whatever they want, they hold hands. I think it became more of an expectation from the guy. Like, it's funny how they would take you for a coffee and after that they're like, hey, do you want to do more than that? I'm like, no, it was just a coffee date and we chatted for half an hour and let's move on. But guys, they always, I guess that's the way it is, and that was a struggle for me because when I jumped into the dating world, I was very Arab, like in my own traditional way, to be like, hey, on the first date, I want to know what you want from this. And the guy was like, well, I just met you, I don't know anything. So it was very interesting. I was too much for the guys, and some of them, they were too much for me. A lot of guys were interesting to the point that they took me on a date and they decided to share a fry, even though they invited me for dinner. And there was like literally one fries and we had to share it. And I was so hungry, so I had to walk out, not telling the person that I'm leaving. I just said, sorry, I'm going to go to the washroom. And I left the date.
Joey doesn't share food!
Because to me, I don't like to waste time. I'm like, well, you're not the right person for me, so why would I waste my time?
You are beautiful, you know that?
That is so sweet.
تندر أول ما نزل I think I was one of the first. أول كم واحد نزلوه عجبتني الفكرة جديدة، فأول ما استعملته it was mostly dislikes، أغلبيتهم dislike swipe على left ما كان في سبب. أنا بعترف حالي يعني يمكن picky، بس جتني فترة قلت خليني أجرب، ما عم بيطلع لي أي ماتش، فقلت أعمل لايك لكل شيء. عملت لايك للكل ووصلني كتير، ومن الملل صرت أحكي مع الناس، بس أحكي لحاول أشوف إنه وين حتودي هالconversation، نشوف شو حيصير. وبالحقيقة بالأخير ما ودت لأي محل بس إنه اللي استفدنا منه بالأخير إنه اكتشفنا إنه في كتير ناس بيستعملوا تندر وبيحاولوا يوصلوا على فكرة معينة. اغلبيه تندر اكتشفت فيه انه مثل ابلكيشن رح تتعرف على الناس جنسيا. هذا اللي بدهم اياه بالنص بالضبط. وهذا الشيء ما كثير كنت بدور عليه، فحاولت ابعد عنه، بس لما استعملته هذا اللي عم بيجيني.
There was one guy who actually took me on a date, and on the first date he was like, hey, do you want to travel to Malaysia for 6 months? And I was like, no, because that sounds very like, I don't know, serial killer kind of thing, so no. I'm just going to go home and say goodbye to you.
For a start, that guy's overall look can only be described as guy kicked out of your gym for trying to smell women.
حتى هاي الظاهرة صارت تعرف بظاهرة تندر نايت ميرز. قد ما هو صارت تصير مع الناس كوابيس من برنامج تندر وقصص عجيبة بتصير معهم من التندر، صاروا ياخذوا صور ويبعتوها لإدارة شركة تندر، وصارت شركة تندر تجمع هاي الصور وعملت منهم كتاب تقدر تشتريه عن أمازون وعن مكاتب تانية موجودة حول العالم.
I have a few Tinder nightmares. So I got stalked by somebody I blocked on my iPhone from calling me, and he changed his number to call me. So he kept calling and calling and texting and just would call me multiple times a day. I was at work, he would call me. Got home from work, he would call me. Before going to bed, he would call me. 6 a.m. in the morning, he would call me. At 10:30, I'm at my desk at work, and he'd call me. Like, just really, really weird. Another one was a guy I went out with a few times, and I broke it off with him, wasn't interested. And then I got a call from his pregnant wife a couple weeks later asking me why he had my number. And obviously I didn't know that he was involved with someone.
So yeah, I do have interesting Plenty of Fish stories. So there was a Russian guy who messaged me on Plenty of Fish, and he messaged me a long message. And basically what he was saying is that he's from Calgary. He came to Toronto on a business trip. He was there for a few months. But then, this is exactly word by word, a man has his needs, that's what he said. So he wanted to take me out for a nice dinner, come home, come back to his hotel room, maybe cuddle together, take a shower together, and just have a nice night. But the catch is at the end of the message, he's like, you know what, I'm not into prostitutes, but if you need money, I don't mind giving you money. So, of course, I laughed a lot, and then I replied back and I said, you know what, I have enough money for a family of 4, I don't need your money.
There was one Arab guy that I went out with, and he was a freelance graphics designer. And then I dated him for like maybe 2 months, and then I just found out over time he never seemed to be working. Like, every time I spoke to him, he always was just waking up from a nap at like 11 a.m. during the week, or visiting his mom in the hospital, or, you know, seeing his cousin, or he just never seemed to be working ever. And I just kind of stopped trusting him. He just seems so sketchy.
This guy seems to be me, by the way.
No, I believe that you are actually working, but no, I don't think because he never had anything to show for it. He never had anything to talk about. So,
And another guy, I actually was interested in him, but he never called me. So I have no idea to this day why he never called me back. Yeah, I guess with online dating, you have to have thick skin, and you have to be okay with who you are. And if someone doesn't call you, it's okay. They are just not the right person for you. If anything, you should be thankful that didn't move forward, because deep in your heart, you have to come to an agreement that there is something better and bigger will be waiting for you. And I was lucky where I met Jamie, which is my husband, like a week, of course, within my online dating. But of course, we didn't become serious till I think 2 months after, when he asked me officially to be his girlfriend. And it was great. We met in Yorkville. That was our first date, and it was coffee date, nothing else. But surprisingly, he held actually my hand on the first date, and the only thing I thought, I'm like, what a weirdo. But then on the second date, things was very well, and we never been apart since. And that's it.
شو رأيكم بعد ما سمعتوا السلبيات والإيجابيات تبع التندر، وشفتوا كيف في قصص نجاح وفي قصص كمان مرعبة صارت مع الناس على التندر؟ هل بتشوفوا إنه موضوع الأونلاين ديتينج هو حل، أو إنه هو مضيعة للوقت وقد يكون في بعض المخاطر؟
my mom says I should quit Tinder.
آمل أن تكون هاي الحلقة عجبتكم وهذا الموضوع كان مفيد وخلاكم تتعرفوا على شغلة جديدة وتعرفوا تتعاملوا معها. ما تنسوا انكم تعملوا لايك وشير للفيديو على صفحات الفيسبوك، وتعملوا سبسكرايب على قناة اليوتيوب، وكمان جربوا انكم تعملوا شير لها على الواتساب جروب للمجموعات اللي انتم عليها. ونشوفكم ان شاء الله في الحلقة القادمة. إلى اللقاء.